Good morning. I wanted to share something a little bit different with you today. I just went into my own Akashic records and had this very massive, not even clearing, but I guess just reading, understanding with my guides. But there was this release and this letting go that it was just really profound, and some of my clients have been asking me to share stories. So I wanted to really do that today and just share this experience with you, because the Akashic records I find absolutely fascinating, and that you can go in and talk to your guides and just get, a lot of information without your ego getting in the way, and that they are there to tell the truth. And so when you're having a really hard time, it can be such this beautiful gift to be able to talk to these guides, and they're very different to my galactic guides, to my angelic, to the ascended masters that I work with. They really have, every guide you have has your best intention, but it's a different kind of guide in the records. So to give you a little bit of a backstory, the last few weeks have been heavy, as most of you will probably go yes, and I felt myself really kind of, I guess if detach comes to the word coming up, I detached from my higher self, and my ego was really Sally is my ego, was really in the way. I've been doing lots of clearing for the last 4 years of my awakening, but this year has actually been my most intense, and I've had, dark night of the soul, and really going back through and clearing at this super cellular deep level, being a older or more experienced soul, clearing lifetimes of stuff. This is also my resolution lifetime, so this is kind of the last time that I will probably come back to Earth School, unless they for some crazy reason I decide to come back. But it's like you are doing the final clearing, learning all your lessons. It's like you're kind of done, and my soul definitely feels old and tired. It's like, okay, we've really had enough of this. So the last few weeks, after I've done all this work to work through my nervous system, going back again, doing deeper layers of root chakra and sacral, and you guys get it, because I'm sure you've been doing this work as well if you are watching and drawn to this video. So yeah, I just really felt this, not falling back, but the ego, and I'm deep in the deprogramming stage. So really doing all the deconditioning and the deprogramming of just this lifetime stuff, what I was born into, what I've experienced, and choosing to not have this awakening till a few years ago. There's a lot of stuff to deal with, a lot of belief systems, and that's a little bit of a backstory. So my sacral has always been a big issue for me. I hold a lot of religious wounds and a lot of sexual wounds within my sacral, so it's kind of my arch nemesis. It doesn't matter how much clearing I do, there is always more there. So that has always been ongoing, kind of my one that I've had to deal with, and also throat and stepping into authenticity, and all the things of not feeling good enough, of being being called to teach and move into this spiritual world, not feeling like I had any idea, even though I've had lifetimes, but because it's come on so late. So again, lots of backstory happening here, but it's important because of what came through in the record. So the last few weeks have been very much like all about me. I want more. Me, which is not usually the case for me, but it's something that I've had to work through. Being so heart-centered, I'm always giving, but yeah, I found the last few weeks it's all about me. I want more. I want this, which is a good space to also be, because I deserve that as well. But it was coming from ego, not from higher self. So I've been moving through this stage of uncomfortableness and going, oh, but being there, doing all the work through it. So my questions have been very much about, how do I get this? I want this. Why isn't this working? All the things, the very third and fourth dimensional things. And because I wasn't asking from my higher self, and I kind of had to be in those lower dimensions healing there. So today, well, actually last night, I was just having a day, and I was just like, I can't keep doing this. Like, come on, Sally, like, this is enough. I'm just so exhausted. And so last night I asked my guides, can you please put me into the healing chamber? It's a place that I can go and just be like, I need you guys to help. I can't do anymore. You guys, whatever clearing you can do, can you please help? Because I'm just so mentally and energetically tired right now. I need assistance. So after we did that, I woke up this morning and I was reconnected to my higher self, and I was like, oh, like, where have you been? So that was a beautiful morning I had, and I tear up even just talking about it, because it's the light that was coming in. I was like, it's that connection back to that soul part of you, and you're just like, that's home. So she was very welcomed with open arms. And so then when I just had a bath, I was like, I just need to have an Epsom salt bath this morning. Really just take a few hours just to really nourish myself before I get into work mode. And I thought, well, water and nature are always my places. And usually for me, a sitting meditation it works for me, but I find if I'm in the forest or if I'm in water, it kind of really amplifies for me. So I thought, right, I'm going to have a bath. I will open my records when I get in the water, and I didn't really have that many questions today, but because I was from this higher self coming in and not so much ego based, I was asking very different questions today and wanting to know kind of, I am really finding at the moment, and a lot of the ego stuff is all about this good versus bad, and I'm like, so I'm asking, questions about, well, why, and all these things. So big hitting questions I was asking this morning, and so they were answering the best they could. You'll find when you're working in the records, because you're going up through dimensions, that sometimes when you ask big questions like this, you're not quite ready for the answer. So there will be silence, or there'll be no answer. And then sometimes, as you come back down through the dimensions, you might get a guide that wants to give you a little bit of information. So they were quiet for a little bit, and I went, okay, well, I'll move on. And then it came through a little bit later, as we were not even clearing, but something came through in the sacral, and then they wanted to give me a lot of information. So I was like, okay. So it came through very, very clearly, this past life that I had as a nun. They said 15 lifetimes ago. So sometimes they will give me how long ago that was, sometimes they won't. So they said 15 lifetimes ago you were a nun, but you also witnessed a lot of things within the church that you did not agree with. And you witnessed a lot of awful things happen. And because you spoke up, because I spoke up about these things and brought it higher up, I was banned and cast out from the church, but later then they sent people who ultimately murdered me. So there was a strangulation, and a rape. And I was like, oh. So I wasn't shown all the details because that's not necessarily what they want to show, but it's just to have context of like, okay, this is what's happened, and just so you can move forward. And so obviously that was affecting my sacral, also affecting my throat, but also why I really attached to this good and bad. And, you know, when you're doing all this spiritual work, you know, it's all about, you know, source consciousness and, you know, love for everyone. And I'm just like, I don't get that. And I'm like, why do bad people not, you know, I was like, you know, I'm a good person. How do I not get the things that I kind of need and want and deserve and desire, but people who, you know, do really bad things can have this? I've always been very like, I don't understand this. And so they were showing me this is where this kind of right versus wrong, this good versus evil was coming from this past life. Why it's really affected still this lifetime, and you know, kind of having this awakening, you know, a few years ago, and not really wanting to step into it, being really scared to show up on social media, being really scared to say what I want, and even the last few years, even like just not. Yes, I Reiki Reiki is where I started, but even in my practice, I'm like, I haven't really done Reiki for the last few years, but I've been hanging on to this kind of title of what it was that I do, because out of fear of like, well, at least Reiki's kind of mainstream, to stick with that, because then, you know, you're not really putting yourself out there. So there was all these wounds attached to it. And so during the record, sorry, I'm like, I chop and change a lot. But through this morning, it was like just the realization, and then there was this, and it was why also that I've been very, very disconnected from source consciousness, because I was like, how can you, I'm like, I understand, you know, this is a learning planet, and how can you have people suffering? How can, you know, I know we choose this as an incarnation, but how can this be, you know, if we are all fragments of source consciousness? So I have a lot of these big questions, because I was like, I don't understand. If we're all a fragment of you, why do you allow this to happen? You know, has this always been the way you've wanted it to happen, or has something changed over time? You know, why do we have, you know, the reptilians and the draconians? Like, why are they so evil if they are, you know, source consciousness and you know, a fragment of you, and have done so terrible things? Why do we have people doing this? And so I've been that very disconnected from consciousness, even though I'm very spiritual and I have these connection to all these guides. But for me, like, even saying God has just not been a word I could say, and I would always say universe or source. And so this was part of this really nun lifetime and this wounding that I was carrying. So it just lifted, it like lifted out through my throat while I was in the bath. Like, I actually didn't even have to really do a lot of clearing. It was just like, it's now, this is the final piece of information that you needed to just be able to let this go today. And it was just like this, like overwhelming feeling of light. Like all of my, I'm like, I will get emotional. Like all of the team, like everyone, like your teachers, masters and loved ones in the records, like they were just clapping and cheering, and they're like, we're putting the call out like to all of your guides to say like they're like, this is it. They're like, you mark this date in your diary, because this is the date where things change and you move into this new energy, this new light, this new projection. And it was just like this most amazing feeling. Not only from that, but I felt that real connection back to source consciousness and the light that they were shining on me. And I share this today because, yes, I want to share more about the Akashic records, but they said also, like, part of this clearing today and like this kind of revelation that I had, they're like, this is also going to ripple out and affect a lot of other people. So other people that have had similar situations, lifetimes, wounding, this is impacting them. And they're like, they really always show me like this ripple effect that it has. It's like, well, it's going to, of course, ripple effect into your physical life, but it's also impacting your family, your lineage. It's impacting your clients and your students that you teach. It is having this major impact in the world. And they're like, that's why they're like, mark today on the calendar, because in 12 months time you're going to see like, this was the catalyst, this was the day that it all changed. But it's just, yeah, I get upset because I'm not upset, but it's happy tears. I know, it's just to feel that unconditional love from your team, from source, was just there's no other feeling like it. And to be connected at that level. So yeah, so that was my experience in the records. Obviously not all days are like that. They're sometimes really, really different, and I am like literally asking, why am I blocked with money? Why is this happening? Like, so I love it because it can range from like, how do I move forward? I feel stuck, or why am I upset? Why is this triggering me? And your guides are here to help you answer all of those very earthly experiences, but then we can also have such big, profound understanding and other work that we do in the records. So I did just want to share this. I hope that this has maybe helped you in a way, maybe to understand the records. Maybe you've had a similar lifetime or things that you're holding on to, and perhaps this will help. I'm not really sure exactly why, because they were like, we want you to record this, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I do hope that it helps you in some way. So share with me in the comments if this has helped, or share it with someone that you think it could help, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.